Bushwick Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Pulling Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
Booyah, and it's time for the Game Sports Show, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. It is January the 31st, 2019, and we're here live at Northern Superior Brewing Company in Sault Ste. Marie. It's yours truly, the host, David McKeag, and I'm going to be joined by Justin Heichel in just a few moments. Dane Hancho will unfortunately not be joining us tonight, most likely due to being held up in some schedule conflict there. So it'll be myself and Justin bringing you the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. And you may have gotten here through our Facebook page at The Game Sports Show or through our Instagram page at The Game Sports Show SSM. But you're most likely listening through our Podbean page, thegamesportsshow.podbean.com, or Scott Nason's YouTube channel, or notably through the website, www.thegamesportsshow.com. Either way, however you got here, we're thankful that you're able to join us here tonight for our show here from Northern Superior Brewing Company. And we're here at Northern Superior Brewing Company. We're not in the tap room currently, because there's an event going on in the tap room here tonight. As you know what, you can book an event here at Northern Superior Brewing Company, and we also are put to the side a little bit here today in terms of being put in the quiet room, so we're not disturbing the event that's going on here at Northern Superior Brewing Company. But in the tap room, you can host a party, host a pub, host an event. You can even host a diaper party. Either way, you can reach out to John Cavalier or reach out to the staff here at Northern Superior Brewing Company to make Northern Superior part of your event or party that you want to host. Definitely a great time here, as always, from Northern Superior Brewing Company. They have delicious beer here as well, various types of beers that they have on tap here at Northern Superior Brewing Company. But without further ado, I want to say thank you to Scott Nason, who's going to be our board operator here tonight, and I want to bring in my co-host here tonight, who's my right-hand man in terms of being here since the beginning, along with a lot of us here on the Game Sports Show with the staff that we have, but the staff has grown since day one in 2015. However, this guy has been here since the start, and he's always dressed to impress. The one and only Justin Heichel. Justin, how you doing, sir?
Not too bad. Got a cold this week, so a little bit of sinus congestion, you know.
Maybe bring a little bit of a different voice. It's going to be a,
I don't know. It looks like, I'm looking at the old computer screen here. It looks like it's recording a little bigger than usual as far as the voice lines go.
And producer Ghost likes it too. He's saying that he's liking the little bit of the raspiness or
I can't max it out like you, though.
No.
I'm trying. It's just not happening.
I guess it's just the tone of the voice. Just the natural.
I think the microphone's scared of you.
I think so.
It runs away.
But you and I tonight, and we are going to be talking about updated news on National Hockey League in just a few moments. I'm going to get started with the show, giving the listeners a reminder of the local hockey that's going on here in Sault Ste. Marie. Before we get to that, then after a break, we're going to be talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's lots to talk about with the Toronto Maple Leafs and some additional sports topics, hopefully, before we end the show. We don't have as much time as we usually do here on the Game Sports Show. It'll be about a 45-minute show or so here due to my schedule conflicts having a men's league hockey game here tonight. But without further ado, let's get started into the show. And I'm going to jump in and talk about the local hockey news schedule. I'm going to talk about the NOJHL first with the Sault Thunderbirds. The Sault Thunderbirds are actually off this weekend. They do not play this weekend. They don't play until Monday. And that's Monday, February the 4th at 7 p.m. as the Sault Thunderbirds will be traveling to Blind River to play against the Blind River Beavers. The Sault Thunderbirds do not return home until next weekend when they have their home and home against the Sault Michigan Eagles. That's Friday, February the 8th at 7 p.m. is when the Thunderbirds are home. And then they play in Sault Michigan Saturday, February the 9th at 7 p.m. Now transitioning to the Sault Michigan Eagles, the Eagles are playing this weekend. They play tomorrow, which is Friday, February the 1st in Elliott Lake at 7:30. Then they are off until Monday after that, and that's Monday, February the 4th, when they travel to Elliott Lake. They are not home until, as I mentioned a few moments ago, when they have their home and home against the Thunderbirds. They play in Sault, Ontario, February the 8th, 7 p.m., and they are back at the Polar Stadium February the 9th to play against the Sault Thunderbirds for that good old border rivalry. Now, Justin, that border rivalry, Sault, Michigan, Sault, Ontario, some good hockey to be played there, don't you think, next weekend?
Always good hockey. I mean, it's always quite the matchup, and no matter what rink you're in, it's always rowdy.
It is.
It's a physical game, big time physical game.
Yeah, and the boys feel it. It's like a Toronto Maple Leafs Montreal Canadiens rivalry. To that gratitude, a lot of fans are definitely involved, especially at Polar Stadium. I gotta give credit to Polar Stadium. They do very well with their attendance, which is slightly higher than what the Rhodes does get. But again, these are two border town teams. The attendance will be high, despite if it's in Sault, Ontario, or Sault, Michigan.
Oh, I mean, if you've been kind of on the fence thinking about going out to a game this season, or not sure, hey, if this is going to be a good game to go, this is a game to go to. Yeah. And if you're going to go to to get your feet wet in some other local junior hockey, this is the game to get out to.
Definitely.
Especially before, we start ramping up into the chase for the playoffs. And
yeah, and the playoffs are just around the corner, too. It's getting not too far away. And, obviously they do play Monday, and obviously the Eagles playing tomorrow and Monday. The Thunderbirds are off until Monday. Then they're off to that weekend against the Eagles. So we're going to have full recap next week during our Tuesday edition of the Game Sports Show, and next Thursday here for Northern Superior Brewing Company. And speaking of that, people are saying Tuesday, we're not going to be at Icebreakers on Sunday this upcoming weekend due to the Super Bowl, so we're going to be at Icebreakers on Tuesday. So hopefully John Parko can join us next week and we can get some full reaction of that border rivalry going into next weekend. Now, with the NOJHL, the Sioux Thunderbirds are in first place in the Western Division. They're 34-9-0-1 for 69 points in the Western Division. They are 15 points up on the second place Rayside Balfour Canadians, who also have played 3 more games than the Sioux Thunderbirds. The Sioux Eagles, though, sitting in fourth right now, 21-19-2-1. But here's one notable thing that I mentioned. This was on the Tuesday show where I mentioned this when we talked everything local. The Sioux Eagles are 8-1-1 in their past 10 games. The Thunderbirds are 9-1-1. Those are the 2 hottest teams in the Western Division right now, and they are both flying high, are those Birds and those Eagles. So you got to make sure you get out to support these teams. And if you're unable to go to the games, or you're unable to travel to the games, anything of sorts to support the Thunderbirds or Eagles, you can watch them on Hockey TV, and that is live right now as the Sioux Eagles are currently in action as we speak here tonight against the Blind River Beavers. They're up 3-1 at the end of the first period currently. I just wanted to get to the future games first before I mentioned that they were playing tonight and promoting Hockey TV, as Hockey TV does a fantastic job with promotions and with games in the NOJHL. So you can catch that live right now if you're listening to the show now. If not, you can also check that broadcast out here through the GameSportsShow.podbean.com as Scott Neeson does the uploads there. And also you can probably backtrack, is what I'm being told, with Hockey TV to watch some of the games as well. So currently the Eagles are playing Blind River Beavers up 3-1. So now transitioning from the NOJHL, Justin, let's jump into the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds in the OHL. The Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds are currently in action in Niagara against the Niagara Ice Dogs. They are currently down 1-0 at the end of the first period against Niagara. The Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, have had the previous game. They lost in overtime to Kitchener. They won 8-2 against Peterborough. The game before that, they beat Sudbury 7-4. The Greyhounds have been pretty hot as of late, and Morgan Frost has been flying. The team has been firing on all cylinders, and the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds team is something to watch.
Well, these guys were, we kind of suspected once, the World Juniors went the way they went, Morgan Frost was going to come back with something to prove. And the team didn't perform bad when he was gone. I mean, the team had, a good run while he was away at the juniors. And him just coming back injected a little more horsepower into the lineup. And, yeah. They're playing out of this world right now, too. Hopefully we can keep it up, and keep padding this points.
Right now sitting second in the West. Now, the Western Division, get out this stat, Jess. I know we talked about it on the Tuesday show when we were at Icebreaker Sports Bar and Grill. 8-1-1 is London in their past 10. The Hounds are 8-1-1. Saginaw, 7-3-0. If you want to go with the Guelph Storm, 7-1-2 in their last 10. And from there goes down where Owen Sounds 3-6, Kitchener's 5-5. But you want to go to the top 4 teams I mentioned: London, the Sioux, Saginaw, Guelph. Hot. The Hounds have been able to keep up with their hot streak, as have the other 3 teams, obviously. Even if you want to transition over to the western side, give a little love to Sudbury Wolves, 7-3 in their last 10. Going third in the East. Ottawa, Niagara right now, as the Hounds actually currently play in Niagara. Nice tough matchup between the 2 number two number 2 seeds in each of their conferences. They're 8-1-1 in their past 10. Niagara and Ottawa is 8-2, and they lead the Eastern Conference and the entire OHL in the standings as they're 2 points up on the London Knights, as London's 34-7-5 for 74 points, and Ottawa is 36-9-3-1. The Hounds right now sitting 31-10-5. And 1 for 68 points as they sit 1 point above Niagara Ice Dogs. So this game, if you're currently not watching this game on TV as we have it on in the background here at Northern Superior Brewing Company here on the Game Sports Show, the Hounds in a big matchup here against Niagara, it is the regular season. They're not in the finals against them or any sort of means right now, but these two teams have been hot and they're very evenly matched as the standings obviously state.
Well, you don't want to see them. You don't ever want to get beat on a Thursday game heading into the weekend. You know, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and sometimes it's a good way to start a cold streak. That's for sure. Yeah, you got to finish the week strong and go into the weekend even stronger.
Exactly. Now the Niagara game again for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds will be concluded by the time we are done this broadcast here, and obviously even prior to the upload. So that will have a final when listeners are listening here. So the Hounds are battling right now as they go into the second period down 1-0. And, you know, with watching Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, they are going to try to come back and get this W. It's definitely been a pretty good game so far in the first period. The Hounds do have more games, though, this weekend. They play Friday, which is tomorrow, February the 1st, against the Erie Otters. At 7 o'clock, they play against Erie. And then they conclude the weekend on Sunday at 2:05 as they play the Oshawa Generals. And as we mentioned on the Tuesday show, make sure you make note that they play Sudbury here Wednesday. That is February the 6th at 7:07 at the GFL Memorial Gardens. Then next weekend, what a weekend it is. And we're going to save that for the Tuesday and also next week's Thursday show to really dissect the weekend next weekend as they play Niagara on Saturday, 7:07. Then they got London on Sunday. So some big games currently happening for the Hounds, also some big games coming up, so make sure to mark those down on your schedule, and you have no excuse not to be at those hockey games. You know, if you're at the games between the Sault Michigan Eagles and Sault Thunderbirds, sure, that is a pretty good excuse. Or if you're keeping tabs on the LSSU Lakers, as I'm going to get to in just a few moments, that is also an excuse. But unless you have those as excuses, and also unless you listen to the Game Sports Show live, unless you have those as excuses, you got to get out to the GFL Memorial Gardens. That's a big weekend next weekend. But Justin, myself, Dane will get into that next week, and obviously Brad Cochimilio next week through our Tuesday and or Thursday show for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Now that gives us our transition right into the LSSU Lakers. The Lakers, as we talked about on the Tuesday show, are in action this weekend at Ferris State. That is Friday, February the 1st at 7:07, and then they play their Saturday the 2nd at Ferris State at 7:07. Lake State returns home February the 15th. Against Michigan Tech, which is the following weekend after next, and then they play Michigan Tech on Saturday the 16th for the Check, Slash, and Survive game, and the Game Sports Show will be on hand for those games as well, as Lake State continues its trend towards the playoffs coming around the corner as well. Lake State 16-8-2, and at home they're 4-6-2. Justin, a little interesting stat as Brad touched on our Tuesday edition of the Game Sports Show, if that is any area of concern. Away they're 10-2, so going into this weekend, is looking pretty good. And I will say for Lake State, it's been a very successful season, especially winning the Great Lakes Invitational was massive, as Brad did touch on in a previous show. And Ferris State will give Lake State a pretty good matchup. And obviously playing against Michigan Tech when they come back home, that is the team that they beat in the Great Lakes Invitational final by a score of 6-3. So that'll be definitely a good matchup as Michigan Tech seeks redemption against Lake Superior State University. Justin, you and I are going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the National Hockey League. We have some things to talk about with the Toronto Maple Leafs too. Something happened this week. Kyle Dubas pulled the trigger on a big move, acquiring a defenseman. We did talk about this on our Tuesday show into brief note, as it was me talking about the conclusion of that show. But here on the Thursday show is where we mostly touch on that, especially with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So myself and Justin will get into that and some other NHL news and there's some bonus topics as well, hopefully, if we have the time to do so as well. Dave McCaig here alongside Justin Heichel and Northern Superior Brewing Company. We'll be right back after these messages.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Pulling Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and special edition home to the game, Silver Creek Golf Course, located on 104 Bellow Lake Road, Garden River, Ontario. And also shout out thank you to Silver Creek GM Jamie Henderson. Silver Creek Golf Course has many specials to offer for 18 holes, 9 holes, and even Twilight Deal specials. It does not matter what your level of golf game is, it is a must to enjoy the scenic course, memorable experiences that Silver Golf Course offers. Silver Creek also offers a Thursday wing night for you to enjoy food after a stellar time on the course. You can book your tee time by phone or online at golfsilvercreek.com. Silver Creek Golf Course, where all are welcome to play.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sports Center rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sports Center, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsioux.as.me-. The Salon, making the Sioux beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Sioux Pee Wee Pro Shop. The Sioux Pee Wee Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Sioux Pee Wee Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Sioux Pee Wee Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today. Welcome back to the Game Sports Show, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. You listen to the Game Sports Show on thegamesportshow.podbean.com, thegamesportshow.com, or through the Scott Neeson YouTube channel. I may have also been directed here through our Facebook or Instagram page. And hey, if you're on our Facebook page, if you haven't hit like on the page yet, two things. One, shame on you, first off. Secondly, though, our like giveaway contest. Make sure you get those likes in. Make sure you get them in by Sunday for Super Bowl Sunday, as the Game Sports Show will be doing its like giveaway contest, as we'll be giving away a prize to a lucky winner who just simply hit like. You hit like on the Facebook page, your name gets put into a hat and drawn, and we'll be doing the draw live on Facebook on Sunday from Sports Center Bar and Grill. Your name gets drawn, pretty simple, you win the prize. Justin, I have given teasers about the prize. We've talked about it for the past 3 to 4 weeks. Likes have grown on the page. Pretty easy prize to win, don't you think? Especially if your name gets drawn.
Well, I mean, it's not super complicated. All you got to do is like. I mean, you like other stuff, memes, lots of memes. How many
People hit like on Instagram photos as well. People have asked, why hasn't this contest been promoted on Instagram? It is simply a Facebook like giveaway contest.
Yeah, this is only a Facebook thing. We're pretty brutal at Instagram, both of us. That's just a fact.
But after February 3rd, our new Instagram page will be active officially February 3rd in terms of posts and contest giveaways. And you'll be able to interact with us not only on the Facebook side, but the Instagram side more, as the page has been launched for a little bit, but we've had some complications tech-wise, and we had to get stuff arranged, especially when it comes to contests. There's a little bit of legalities that we have to follow in terms of getting stuff authorized. And obviously with these prizes, the prizes for the Game Sports Show, these are prizes that are given by our generous sponsors and partners, and definitely worth it. Just hit like, and your name gets put into the draw. Don't you think?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean,
I have to say it 10 more times. I think I've already said it
a
twice.
couple more times. I think once or twice, maybe 7, 8 more times through the show.
And we said it on Tuesday. I said it yesterday from Sports Center Bar and Grill. And hey, if you're on the Podbean page, don't hesitate to listen to our previous shows this week from Monday, Tuesday, and or Wednesday. We've had a show every day this week leading up to today. So a lot of content that we had to get to, but we will be doing the draw Sunday from Sports Center Bar and Grill for our like giveaway contest.
Well, I mean, I think we're coming close on being those guys on Facebook that are asking people to like stuff too much where we're being annoying.
Yeah.
So
just do it.
Just like it so we stop.
Exactly.
That's it. I mean, it's not a threat.
Not yet.
Just like us.
Just like us. We're nice guys. But moving from that, we're not begging for likes because we know we're liked. We got a lot. We're happy that we have a lot of listeners and faithful listeners at the number that it is at. But if you don't hit like, you can't be a part of this great contest that we have. But moving on, Justin. We have some Toronto Maple Leafs news that we're going to jump into first. And let's tee it off right away here. We talked about this, I briefly talked about this at the conclusion of the Tuesday show, as I mentioned before we went to break. And Wednesday on our Sports Center show, we didn't really jump into any discussion with it. We just talked about it to the extent of giving a tease for tonight. Let's dissect it now. It's you and myself. It's too bad that Dane is unable to join us here tonight as he had a lot of feedback. Maybe we'll get his feedback next week since he'll be missing tonight's show. But you and I are most notably the ones who spearhead the Maple Leafs edition of the show and the segment. Jake Muzzin was traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs for Sean Dirtsey, Carl Grundstrom, and a first-round pick this year. Sioux native Kyle Dubas pulled the trigger on acquiring a former Sioux Greyhound defenseman, a former Stanley Cup winner, and an individual that was leading the Los Angeles Kings in block shots and in plus-minus and in hits.
I was going to say plus-minus is the big one there.
It is, especially a team that has a goal differential of minus 24.
Because, I mean, the Kings are pretty well leading the league and not winning. So
there's a team that's shedded some cap next year. $4 million. It's not even much cap, don't get me wrong, but it's $4 million the Kings would definitely like to have, and especially since they put themselves in a capped issued spot, especially with signing Ilya Kovalchuk and Drew Doughty to the numbers that they did, and having Kopitar there for term, and even Carter having some term. And there's a lot of term there, especially with Jonathan Quick. Shutting out the contract is a positive for them, but the Leafs get a defenseman they've been coveting. Yeah, it's not a right-handed shot defenseman, but someone who can play both sides, much more like Morgan Riley can.
Well, and I mean, one of the other positives to come out of this is that Muzzin's still got a year left in his contract. Like, he's got term still.
Yeah, he has a year left,
so
$4 million.
We have that. You know what your defensive lineup kind of looks like going into next year, and you know, give or take, where your cap figures are at. So it allows the math magicians in the office and the contract wizards, who are working on the Marner and Matthews and who knows what deals going on. It gives them some time and some exposure to get that done. But, and the right, left, that whole argument, I mean, there's a good soundbite that Babcock has today. People asking him the whole right-left argument and the defenseman's not playing their true hand side. He said, I once coached a great defenseman named Nick, who asked me the same who asked me the same question all the time. So, I mean, that's one of those, like, Babcock mystical, throwing you off, not really answering your question, but answering your question deal. Yeah. But I think it's a good point. I mean, he had Muzzin, the World Championship on Team Canada?
Yeah.
So he is familiar with a player. Muzzin brings that pedigree where he's been through the grind. Not one time as a Stanley Cup champion, but a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. So he's been there, and he's been through it a couple times. So maybe this is that just attitude in the locker room to help get these young guys over the hump. The first round the dreaded first round, we can't seem to,
Get past the Boston Bruins.
Maybe he's that, just that little bit of punch to help us get there. And
he can hit. Boy, can he hit. I felt this hit one time. Fun fact, but moving on.
Defensively, he's responsible.
Yeah.
His plus minus on a disastrous LA team is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those stats that you and I will probably argue the value of plus minus till the day we die.
Yeah.
Much like the Jake Gardner argument. But and as far as some of his other numbers go, I mean, these numbers, guys, he's got just some crazy, like you said, the block shots,
the hits,
and it's not like he's playing a little bit of time. Like he's logging some heavy minutes out there.
Yep.
So it's not like he's just like playing a couple minutes, pumping his stats up, and then bailing. Like
he's getting a lot of time. He was trusted in LA. Now, don't get me wrong, LA is in a spot, as we kind of already touched on. Okay, they're in the rebuild side of the mode, and I watched a video with Steve Dangle, and you know what, he was talking about how the Leafs got Muzzin, how excited he was, and obviously how excited all Leaf fans were, as they should be. But the question was it too steep? And I don't think it was. Okay, the price for a top pairing defenseman is that. Now, Sean Durkee is a very good player. Carl Grundstrom is a bowling ball. The guy he's a strong two-way player. I could see him having a good impact in the National Hockey League. I could see him being a second line to third line forward for his career and being a guy who might get 15 to 20 goals a year. However, I will tell you right now, the Leafs have a good deep prospect pool, and they didn't have to get rid of Kapanen for this trade. They didn't have to get rid of Brown for this trade. They didn't have to get rid of Rasmus Sandin or Timothy Lindgren for this trade. They didn't have to move Travis Dermott even for this trade. Heck, I can't believe I'm saying this, but they didn't even have to move Jake Gardner or anything for this certain trade. They didn't have to move a roster player, is what I'm saying right now.
You just
okay? You know what? I think at the end of the day, trading Carl Grundstrom and Sean Durkee had to be done this way. The first, let's be real, it's going to be a pick that is in the 20 and unders, okay? As Leaf fans, you hope it's the 31st pick, okay, at the end of the day, okay? But being realistic, I think it's very realistic to say not even bottom 20. I want to say 25 and up. I think that is as realistic as we can go, as I feel the Leafs have already made themselves better and are destined at least for a second round appearance this year, in my total opinion. I hope that if they get past that second round, that they can go to the finals, because I think whoever wins that second round from the Atlantic Division, one of those three teams, Leafs, Bruins, or Lightning, giving you a hint, who I think are the three teams that are my favorite to go on to the Stanley Cup final from the East this year. No offense to Washington or Pittsburgh, but the Leafs got a player now that is ready for playoff hockey, who has been there, okay? And they did not give up as much as people think. I'm a fan of Durkee, but let's even rewind this. Offensive defenseman. We have that. Morgan Riley. Timothy Lindgren is two-way more offensive, though. What do you think Rasmus Sandin is? He's not a Jake Muzzin. Okay, he's an offensive defenseman. You look at the prospects we have, they're all offensive. And you look at the players that we have, all offensive. Jake Gardner is definitely not a defensive defenseman. Travis Dermott, I know they're trying to make him like a Morgan Riley 2.0-ish kind of thing. I know he's not going to be that, I don't think, but they're going to try. So that's going to be more, I think there's more offensive side to Travis than there is defensive, and there's even more two-way than there is defensive. So you need that defensive defenseman. Jake can be offensive, but what's amazing is he's an elite two-way player, in my opinion. Two-way style defensive, and that's what the Leafs are getting here. And that first-round pick is going to be a late pick. We have a lot of picks, we have a lot of prospects. Dubas can make magic happen. If you had to say which prospect is tough for me to swallow, it's not even Sean Durkee. It's Carl Grundstrom. Carl Grundstrom, I think, is going to be a good grit player. He's one of those players that in the playoffs are going to be one of those best type of players that you want, just like a Kasperi Kapanen can be and those guys. But Muzzin is already immediately next to Riley, the Leafs' best defenseman on the team.
Well, it's just exciting because it gives us a player that we haven't had the opportunity to see in this roster. There's not a player that matches up to the skill set that you can see either on the Marlies team or on the big club, or even in the prospect pool in the ECHL. Like, there's not. The Leafs don't. I don't want to say they don't have the ability to scout, solid two-way defenseman or defensive defenseman, but that's we're lacking a solid, lack in depth of defensive defenseman and defensive two-way prospect. Yeah, like it's so, and I think he shores it up. Definitely shores it up as far as Morgan Rielly goes. I mean, look at the season Riley's had right now, and this kind of lets him off the chain a little bit. Like that.
I guess who his partner is.
Well, that's what I mean. Like he's got Muzzin back there now to hold it down. Like.
And now, look, the Leafs practice lineup today, and this is official with the Daily Face-Off and obviously through online, through Twitter, that the Leafs lines of practice today. You had Tavares playing alongside Hyman and Kapanen, reuniting, keeping those guys together. Matthews, Marlowe, and Marner. Then you have Brown, Kadri, Nylander after their big game that they came off against. Me too. It's the guys that had something to prove and had to get out of the cold streak. Lindholm with Gauthier and with Moore. Now, you have... on defense, which is our most notable here connected to the segment, Muzzin playing alongside Morgan Rielly. Morgan Rielly playing on the right side. You have Jake Gardiner with Nikita Zaitsev. I know there's a lot of people like to roll their eyes with that particular unit, especially some experts out there, maybe more so in the media world and Sportsnet. Particular names I won't name down, but I know I'm one of the names here from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, as a Game Sports Show. You have Hainsey playing with Dermott, which I love. I love that pairing. I love the pressure that's going to leave off Hainsey now. Hainsey doesn't have to play 25 minutes anymore. Not that he did all the time, but the guy, not that he's not talented, but let's get real. He's older. Okay, he can obviously handle it, but I think when it came down push and shove at the end of the year in playoffs, he can get tired. Playing on that third pairing can just let him focus on mentoring Dermott and also stick to playing some solid penalty kill minutes.
Well, and also think about this. I mean, you can go back to however many shows I've been bitching about this Jake Gardiner thing with you. But Hainsey on that bottom pairing just gives Dermott the opportunity to take a few more minutes a game. It gives Hainsey the opportunity to decrease himself by several minutes a game. And it also takes a lot of pressure off that middle pairing where it might just be 2 minutes off Jake Gardiner's ice time or off Zaitsev's ice time. But that's those 2 minutes where maybe they're tired. These mistakes are happening. You know what I mean? He's just not thinking.
See, now, notably out of that lineup, Andreas Johnsson. So, I don't want people to read into this too much. It could be an injury thing. It could be something with Andreas. But you have other players who are notably out, Oshiganov and Marincin. All right, now, I will say Tyler Ennis. There's somebody else that is not back from injury yet. So, Trevor Moore, you have to predict, would be the guy that would go back down. And Ennis would slot on that fourth line, which I think is perfect. You have... I think if this lineup flourishes the way that it should, I think it opens up the gates for the Leafs to be able to maybe trade Marincin to get a little bit of value for him and put him into a trade or whatever they can do with him, even if it's put him on waivers. And we can't forget about another player that's been out, Justin Holl. So there's some guys that haven't been playing here with the Leafs that can be used as trade bait. I think the two players you can use in a trade are Justin Holl and Andreas Johansson.
I really like Holl.
Yeah, we do, but he's not getting the opportunity. He could be used in a trade. Marincin and Ennis isn't going anywhere. I think Babcock likes his work ethic. I think he's going to be a fourth line in and out of the lineup.
He had a bad draw with that foot.
Yeah, that injury just kind of sent him back.
They were firing on all cylinders.
And in the preseason, he was hot. Right now,
he's a good hockey player.
You got Moore who will most likely go down. And I had a question today from a fellow coworker at work saying, I wonder if Dermott's going to be the one to go down. Not a chance. No, Dermott's the one that's you really can't. You got to keep Dermott up. So Oshiganov, I think it's interesting because Oshiganov came over from Russia, and he's destined. He can go back there next year. That if they're going to potentially move him, or if this is a gateway for Zaitsev to get traded, because Oshiganov hasn't been horrible this year. But I think he's been playing better than Nikita Zaitsev has. He hasn't gotten as much minutes. I will tell you right now, that's a factor. But at the end of the day, Zaitsev is contract in comparison to that. So this is what's my point right now. Is Dubas done trading? Absolutely not. I think he has 1, if not 2, at most 3 trades in his belt. 1 for sure is a backup goalie. I really think that he wants some support for Anderson. People may disagree with that, but the one that does stick out to me is adding another defenseman at an affordable cost, and that is Radko Gudas. I think that is a big name for Dubas maybe to go ahead and to be your second, third pairing, and that makes you wonder, okay, if you get that, where does Zaitsev fit? Where does Dermott go? Where does Hainsey go? Right? Hainsey and Gardner, unless they move Gardner and or Zaitsev, they're not going. I don't think they're going anywhere, those guys. I think Dubas is going to use Gardner as an own rental for this year, and next year he's going, unless he takes a huge pay cut to stay home, quote unquote, stay home from where it all gave him a chance to play hockey from Anaheim. So someone's got to go from that blue line if they're going to get somebody else. Maybe Dubas is going to give it the next 13 games for this defense to try it out. And if it doesn't work out still, that's where Zaitsev and or Oshiganov can maybe prove their worth if they're in out of the lineup. But who are you going to sit? That's where I think Oshiganov, Marinson's already the odd man out, and so is Hull. That's why Hull has to be on a trade block, okay, instead of losing him to waivers. And that's where I think Andreas Johansson comes in. You can trade Andreas and Hall and a pick and get a good defenseman in there to go back in, then maybe move Zaitsev in a separate trade to free up that cap space. A lot of names get thrown there, but there's a lot of possibilities.
I think it's a lot. It's kind of early to start dumping a lot of speculation into it. I mean, we pulled this trade off. I mean, I say we like I'm part of the team, but the Leafs pulled this trade off early, and I mean, it gives them some time. We're 31st of January right now. It gives them some time to see how he slots into the lineup, see how everyone's playing, and it gives you a better look at how your roster shapes out. And what you need to do, where your holes are, if there's something you want to upgrade. I mean,
I don't think he's done yet.
I mean, if we're speculating here, and I'm just throwing something crazy out there, if you're already talking to Philadelphia about Gudas, and you're in the business of acquiring former Sioux Greyhounds,
Simmons,
then why not?
Why not Wayne Simmons?
You
could throw Connor Brown in that trade too. Not that I want Connor Brown gone.
No, but
there's another contract that could free up a little bit of space because you do have 2 big names you have to sign.
Well, Philly's looking to get a little younger, quicker, able to play a speed game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as much as I don't want to say it, maybe that's where Janssen ends up.
You can move. There's a lot of potential here.
We could talk forever on this, but
yeah.
I wanted to stir the pot a little bit too.
Now, last thing with the Leafs, because we know that Dubas isn't going to be done here. You have some interesting facts that you discovered, not even Producer Ghost, about the Toronto Maple Leafs for January 31st trades. I want you to list a couple, and then we're going to move on to our next point here for the National Hockey League discussion.
I mean, there's a couple of them here. That's more than, what do we got, 6, 7? But I'll go to some more modern times here and pick out the interesting ones. January 31st, 1971. Toronto got Bernie Parent and a second-round pick from Philadelphia for Bruce Gamble, Mike Walton, and a first. That's most of us aren't going to remember any of that. There's another one in 97, but I can't even pronounce the guy's name. Moving along here. Here we go. January 31st, 2014. Getting a little more interesting. Timo Hartikainen and Cam Abney. And we sent Mark Frazier to Edmonton. Oh. Dave Notice's boy took the puck in the head, dented his head. Mark Frazier. January 31st, 2010. We got J.S. Jaguar and ridded ourselves of the burdens, Jason Blake and Vesa Toskala.
Look at that.
And get your popcorn ready for this one. This is the one everyone remembers. Getting Dion Phaneuf from Calgary. And the kid that looked like Sasquatch at the time, Keith Ali, and Freddie Sjustrom. And we sent Hagman, Jamal Mayers, Matt Stajan, and Ian White. At the time, who was on fire, I thought, to Calgary.
Yeah.
And Stajan played in Calgary, too, for like a number of years. Like, it was a couple anyways, that's for sure.
Yeah, he played there longer than what Phaneuf played in Toronto. Longer than what Ian White played in Calgary, longer than Jamal Mayers and what Hagman and all that played. So, good little facts you brought to the table. January 31st. Obviously, the Muzzin trade didn't happen on the 31st, however, but the Leafs were pretty active before the deadline, before and in history. So, I wonder if Dubas is still going to pull the trigger before the deadline, or if he's going to give it these next 13 or so games before he makes another move. Now, Justin, a couple more points. We're going to transition from the Toronto Maple Leafs as they just invaded 20 minutes of our segment here. It's Dave McKagan alongside Justin Heichel at Northern Superior Brewing Company for a Thursday edition of the Game Sports Show, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Now, we got a couple topics we're going to jump into, and that is definitely with the NHL All-Star Game. Just a little bit of reaction to see what you thought about it, Justin, and myself, a little bit more detail about it. And also, I want to jump into just some news around the National Hockey League in terms of just some news. Antoine Vermette retires after 14 NHL seasons for the National Hockey League. Also, we have David Perron, who was injured and who was placed on IR with a upper body injury. So, one thing that I want to jump into is an interesting fact yesterday. Evgeny Malkin and Steven Stamkos, Justin, getting a little fisticuffs. $18 million fight right there. Now, if you're the GM for the Tampa Bay Lightning, or if you're the GM for the Pittsburgh Penguins, are you up there biting your lips, clenching your wrists, saying, what the hell are you doing? Or are you liking that?
They're hockey players, man. You gotta let them... They're mad. They're frustrated. They're showing emotion. You gotta let it happen. I mean, just because you're getting paid a couple $1 million doesn't mean you don't want to punch someone in the face sometimes. If you're getting paid that much money, you should be allowed to punch someone in the face sometimes. Especially if he makes as much money as you.
And good for Stammer for stamming up to Gino. Gino's a bigger guy than Stammer is. Bit bigger. I don't know about thickness-wise. I haven't really looked at them both with their shirts off, but we're not going to get to that point right now.
What the chirps were. You imagine?
Yeah.
Like the broken Russian English chirps.
Everything. And I'm surprised that, usually refs, as of late modernly, don't jump into they have been, jumping into fights more, but they let them two go. And it was a quick, though. It was just a couple of punches were exchanged, and Stamkos ended up falling to the ground in the fight. But it was still good to see the aggressiveness and that character from both Stamkos and
Well, and I think those two guys are both class acts, so they're not... Yeah, they're mad at each other. Yeah, it's the heat of the moment, but I really don't think they're going to punch each other's brains out.
No.
I really don't. There's a mutual respect there. They're both at the top of their game, to be completely honest. I mean, they're like the cream of the crop in the NHL.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a respect thing there. And you know what? It's fun for the fans, 100%. You can't tell me that doesn't get the crowd going, that doesn't get both your respective benches going. It gets the rink going. It's fun to play in, fun for the boys on the bench. It's a good time. It doesn't matter who's fighting, but if you're captain and one of your alternates going to go out there and duke it out, why not?
Why not? And you have your captain and alternates going two big dogs in terms of the score sheet getting into their fisticuffs. It's almost like when Vinny Lecavalier, one of my favorite hockey players, if not is my favorite hockey player of all time, along with Jerome McGinley, chopping the mitts. Is another good doozy of a fight if you want to go that route. Some other news in terms of some little trades that happened in the National Hockey League. Jamie Oleksiak was traded to the Dallas Stars, where he was originally drafted. He was traded there for a 2019 fourth-round pick, which I think is a fair value for Jamie Oleksiak. And he's a defensive defenseman that maybe people think did not work out as best as everyone thought he was going to since his time in the World Juniors, but he's still a big presence, and Dallas definitely gained a good player back in Jamie Oleksiak. The Minnesota Wild acquired defenseman Michael Capella from the New Jersey Devils in exchange for defenseman Ryan Murphy as well. That happened yesterday, as the Oleksiak trade happened on the same day of the Jake Muzzin trade, January the 28th. Now, another trade that happened, January the 24th, Los Angeles Kings acquired a 2019 fifth-round pick from the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for the reserve rights for forward Dominic Kubelak, prospect, therefore, that was acquired for the LA Kings, or from the LA Kings to the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, one more topic that I want to jump into with the National Hockey League, before we jump into the All-Star game, quick before we wrap up our show. Detroit Red Wings have stated that they're open for offer sheets. Now, we had people comment to us on Facebook saying, watch out, because we have some players going to that potential area of RFA, Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, going to that offer sheet route. The Detroit Red Wings are looking at making those moves, but you give up offer sheets to players of Matthews and Marner's gratitude. That is almost $10 million plus or $9 million plus whatever it may be, you're giving up 4 first-round picks. Now, that is a steep offer to give. Even if the Red Wings do that, they do not have a powerful team that's going to be great in the next couple of years. So those first-round picks are going to be very high draft picks that can definitely be used in a trade to even get other players. So now I'm not even talking about that's going to happen for the Leafs. Any team that is put in that situation where they're getting thrown an offer sheet that the Red Wings give to one of their RFAs, that's a risky move for a general manager to do.
I mean, to be completely honest, any of these offer sheet things, it doesn't bother me. None whatsoever. If you want to do that, great. Your team's not going to be spectacular for the next 4 years. You're going to have to give me your 4 first-round picks. For me, again, I'm talking.
You can talk in a GM perspective. I'll give you that.
And I mean, regardless, even if a team wanted to offer sheet Marner and a team wanted to offer sheet Matthews, fantastic. All of a sudden, we have 9 first-round draft picks as currency. You know, like you can, and all that salary cap space. Like it doesn't put us it doesn't put the Toronto Maple Leafs in a bad spot. As a fan base, it's really hard to sell 100%. You know, you lose your 2 best players, but the other side of that coin is you'd have all these draft picks, you'd have a ton of salary cap room, and you could basically do whatever you wanted, and you're not really looking too terrible going into the Seattle expansion draft. So, yeah, I mean, that's a totally nuclear option from our roster right now, but I'm trying to put a positive spin on that horrible side of the coin that you revealed.
See, if offer sheets are a risk, you know, Brian Burke did it for Phil Kessel. The picks end up turning out to be Tyler Seguin, Dougie Hamilton, and Knight that was drafted. And all players are not even on Boston, and they officially got nothing for those trades. That's because it all started with the Chiarelli and then transitioning to when they traded Dougie Hamilton. So, you know, offer sheets can work out and can work out for a team. And if you do it to the Leafs, if you do it to any team that has a type of RFAs, if you want to do that to the Winnipeg Jets or Patrick Laine, whatever you want to do, you run into the situation of taking that risk on that player. Doesn't matter who it is. So offer sheets to Ken Holland. I'll also ask this point: is Ken Holland going to even be the GM at the end of this season? Steve Yzerman is waiting to probably maybe go back, unless he is officially taking a leave from the game. But I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of interesting facts with the Detroit Red Wings. And I think there's a lot of teams that might consider the offer sheet route, but you got to consider that expansion draft route as well. With certain, if you're going to give away those first round picks and give away stuff for offer sheets, or if you're those teams that are in that type of issue that you have a lot of young players that you can't protect, there's other avenues that can go down for the offer sheet road instead. The offer sheet is not really something that we see much in the modern NHL, but maybe Kenny Holland will bring that back. It'll be interesting to see what team that he targets. And for some reason, everyone's pointing at the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, last hockey topic I want to jump into, Justin, the NHL All-Star Game. You know, it happened last weekend. Games have happened since then in the National Hockey League, obviously. But I want to get your overall reaction with the NHL All-Star Game, if you give it a thumbs up or if you give it a thumbs down in general.
I mean, I'm going to be honest here. I had this conversation with you. I didn't watch the game. I watched the skills competition. And it seems like the stereotypical like media thing to say that it was really nice to see the women's hockey players in there. But it was actually really cool to see them out there and the fan reaction. And I mean, maybe this is I'm kind of hijacking your topic here a little bit, but maybe why not get the All-Star teams? I mean, we watched the women's hockey All-Star Game the weekend before. Why not have them on the same weekend and have some of the women competing in these competitions with the guys? Like the fastest skater. I mean, she beat Clayton Keller from Arizona. I'm positive.
Yeah,
I know that for sure. I don't know if she beat anyone else, but man, she was flying. Like, that's cool to see.
It is.
And there's got to be as many, little girl fans in the stands as there is little guy fans. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not trying to go down an avenue there that we don't want to go down, but it was cool to see, and it's definitely it was a nice olive branch that the NHL extended.
It was great to see, and I'd like to see more growth with that. It was definitely great. But Anthony Greco from the AHL beat Connor McDavid's record as the fastest skater, 13.152. So I will say right now, the skills competition, was a success, I think, in certain ways of certain events. Austin Matthews taking off his jersey for Marlowe was pretty cool.
That was classic.
I like that. But the fastest skater's always been my favorite, to watch. And Connor McDavid obviously getting away with the win on that. The Metropolitan Division winning the All-Star game, just looking great in those 3-on-3. And then what I'd like to say about the game is it seemed like everyone was actually trying. Unless someone was on a breakaway, it seems like they gave up on the back check. But it seems like there was a good effort on the ice out there from all players that were involved in it. So like seeing that competitiveness in the National Hockey League with the All-Star game. So Justin, you and I, we promised a quick and dirty edition of the Game Sports Show. In terms of my 3 up, 3 down with baseball, I do have 2 points I am going to bring up here. 3 up and 3 down, which means just 3 points in general with baseball. Rumors are Bryce Harper is meeting with the San Diego Padres. Things are just roller coaster with Bryce Harper. Where is he going to land? Manny Machado is also injured with there's interest with the San Diego Padres as well there. And for the third point, 2 signings that we're going to talk about here. The Rockies and superstar third baseman Nolan Arenado has signed a 1-year, $26 million contract extension avoiding arbitration. And also Wade Miley signs with the Houston Astros. So there's my quick 3 up, 3 down with baseball as we await Machado, Harper, Craig Kimbrell, and all the big names that seem to fall. And the names of these players that are going to meet with these certain teams, the Padres. People are still throwing about the Jays about Bryce Harper, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But the most that we're seeing right now with action is that the Padres are going to be meeting with Harper in Las Vegas. Now, Justin, you and I have been here at Northern Superior Brewing Company. We haven't been in the tap room because there's an event going on until 9 p.m. You and I had a quick and dirty edition here of the show, we like to call it, in terms of talking about some local updates. We gave you the local schedule, so make sure you get out and support those local teams. If not, make sure you follow them on the radio or through Hockey TV if you're looking at the NOJHL. We've also talked about the NHL with full extent about the Toronto Maple Leafs trading for Jake Muzzin and also some other potential moves that might occur for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We've also dived into some All-Star talk and even Ken Holland doing some offer sheet potential. What do you think? Will the Detroit Red Wings do offer sheets this year? Lots of news that we're able to touch here, going into a very exciting weekend both locally and in the National Hockey League. And also with the 3 up, 3 down, very quick points that we had to state there. Will Bryce Harper and Manny Machado be signed by next week when we do our show? I predicted they would have been signed 2 shows ago, but obviously it seems like I was wrong there. Justin, I want to say thank you for you taking the time to come by the show here tonight. And we will see you next week, potentially Tuesday, if not next Thursday here from Northern Superior Brewing Company.
Oh, well, I'll be around Sunday too, Dave. I mean, we
yes.
got Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, yes. You will
something going on, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week?
Yeah, in terms of radio, you'll be Tuesday, Thursday. Sunday, as I mentioned, we have our Super Bowl party at Sports Center Bar and Grill. If you ever want to do any Super Bowl parties, there's Sports Center to reach out to. There's also Icebreaker Sports Bar and Grill to reach out to. If you do a certain event, you can reach out to North Superior Brewing Company. I know they have pre-planned stuff going on, but you can reach out to North Superior. They can certainly accommodate you with certain things. And also the Wicked Sister. You can reach out to the Wicked Sister in terms of doing an event as well if you're looking for something to do on the Super Bowl. If not, hopefully you do enjoy the Super Bowl on Sunday. And as I said, Justin, next week, we'll see you here in terms of radio, and we'll also see you Sunday, though, in person. And make sure you like the Facebook page for our Facebook giveaway is on Sunday, and make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. Don't hesitate to reach out to myself and or Justin for any questions or anyone on the Game Sports Show with any concerns as well. I want to thank you to all of our sponsors here that make the Game Sports Show possible. And also I want to say thank you to North Superior Brewing Company here and their tap room, especially with John Cavalier and Blake Winter of North Superior Brewing Company for their great hospitality as always. And listeners, until next week, just keep your stick on the ice, swing your bat, catch your touchdown, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.